So a husband and wife are on their back porch enjoying a glass of wine, and the wife says, "I love you so much." And the husband says, "Is that you talking or the wine talking?" And the wife says, "That's me talking to the wine." So why is that joke funny? What makes that joke work? It's because you get a revelation when you look at something differently. The TED Talk is going by the book. Okay, when you go by the book, you go kind of adhere strictly to the rules. It's kind of following the established standards. It's going the conventional way. And what I'd ask you to think about is like, maybe I don't go by the book. Maybe I look at things a little differently. Now, the way I kind of try to look at it, and the revelation to me, was to play a different game. And I play a lot of tennis, and I found that when I play a different game, I actually play better. And instead of playing the game where you're considering points, you know, if you know tennis, it's like love 15, love 30, love 40, you know, and keeping score, like what I figured out, that I play better. And I know in my gut, I play better when I make contact with the ball, that I actually keep my head down after I hit the ball. And so I know I'm better. And I'll talk about a couple of things, one of which is it's very hard to do. You know, if I do it, I can do it well, but it's very hard to do. And what I'd like you to consider is, do this to see that. Oh, I didn't need to do that. What you consider is like, sure, you're somewhat self-reflective. It's like, what would I want to be better at? It may be a sport. It may be in your faith. It may be at work. It may be through school. It may be a various activity. But what's the different game for you? And I thought, okay, this is not like this great, huge revelation. People have a long time thought about what you focus on makes a big difference, right? But it was really revealing to me, just taking the simple thing of the tennis court. And so if you maybe can reflect a little bit as I go through this, using tennis as an analogy. I don't know if any of you guys have seen Curb Your Enthusiasm. There's a character named Leon on Curb Your Enthusiasm, and he's always got like all these different ideas. But I heard the guy interviewed one time, and he goes, "Yeah, my character always has, you know, he gives good, bad advice." You know, it's kind of like, you hear it, and it kind of sounds like it's good, but it's really not all that great advice. Hopefully you won't think of this as good, bad advice, but I think it's more of a reminder in what people talk about, like just where you focus, and to try to be, you can be better by focusing on the right kinds of things, playing the different game. And there's kind of 3 points. The first one is you have to figure out what the different game is for you, all right? And in order for it to be effective, it's got to be simple, okay? And it's going to involve some trial and error. For me, figuring that out, it sounds simple. You got to keep your head down, but it's not just keep your head down, oh, that guy hits harder than somebody else. You know, how do I get my head down that fast? Is it just that I have to take a furtive eye movement and that's going to pull my head back? Do I have to look all the way down so I see the green part of the court or the blue part of the court? But I know in my gut and heart of hearts that when I do that, I'm better. So you've got to kind of figure out what it is for you, all right? But you got to have it simple so that you can kind of, it's going to take some trial and error. So then I play in tennis before work in the mornings. And so maybe an hour or two I'm playing in tennis. But it got me thinking because it became true to me. It's like, I see the difference here. And so I started thinking, okay, I'm going to apply this to my life. Well, keeping your head down in life isn't the advice for the rest of the thing. So I started thinking about what for me, and everybody's different, what for me it would be. And for me, it's trying to be a grateful servant. Like trying in your life to show gratitude, to be thankful, right? To be selfless rather than selfish, to think about others, okay? And there's some trial and error involved in that. But the main thing is for you to kind of figure out what that different game is for you, okay? Not going by the book, all right? Dummy it down, make it simple, through some trial and errors. And I kind of went from tennis, oh, okay, maybe throughout the day. The second point is, it's really hard to do. Taking the tennis analogy, I tell myself, okay, keep your head down, and I don't do it. Or, I do it for one hit, but I don't do it, maybe the point goes 3 or 4 times if we're lucky, right? And then by the time, I've not done it. And that's like, really? You can't just keep your head? It's almost like comically fascinating that I just look at myself like, really? You're sitting there literally telling yourself to do this, and you can't do it. And then sometimes I'm like, I won the point anyway. I really didn't have to do it, you know? And so then you kind of get lazy and you justify and you get away from doing that. Same thing with trying to be a grateful servant. It sounds great up here, right? But it's very hard to do, whatever that playing the different game thing is for you, for any length of time, right? But it's kind of a personal challenge. It's just like, oh, like when I drive into tennis in the morning, it's almost like, I'm not even thinking about the mat, I'm thinking about, it's like a personal challenge. You know, it's me against me. It's not me against like the system. I'm playing outside the book. So I started thinking about, okay, it's hard to do. And there were some quotes here. So David Thoreau, we must think over and over the kind of thoughts we wish to dominate our lives. That's what I try to do in the tennis, right? It's like, okay, just keep your head down, keep it down. Darn, I didn't do it. And then Dallas Willard, the ultimate freedom we have as human beings is the power to select what we will allow or require our minds to dwell upon. Okay? It's all great. Intellectually, you can all sit and look like that. But then you realize you can't do it. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of Nate Bargatze. He's a very funny comedian, does a very clean act. But anyway, I think he came on to something here, and you're gonna, hopefully this will work. So this, get ready, it's a short little clip, but he starts right out. Okay, I hope the volume's good on this. So Nate Bargatze, we got these heavy hitters right here. And then I got Nate Bargatze, a comedian, that's gonna maybe give us a little insight on this, all right? See if this works. All right, so there's Nate Bargatze. Here we go.
So one part of your brain is smart, and the other part is dumb. You can trick your own brain. That's how dumb the dumb part is. It's in the same head. That's embarrassing. It's like, you don't hear this going on, dude? If you're in a bad mood, they tell you to fake smile, and your dumb part will think it's a good day. I mean, you don't hear the planning going on? Like, you're a part of the planet. So one part of your brain...
Right. So I thought that kind of helped illustrate to me. It's like, okay, realize the fact that you've got a dumb part in your brain too, right? And you've got to deal with that. And I thought he kind of succinctly and kind of clearly pointed it out. It's like, it's all in the same head. Watch him doing it. And yet you can't do it. Okay? So it's first, figure out what that different game is for you. Dummy it down. Simplify it. You know, trial and error. Recognize it's hard to do, but take those little glimpses of, hey, it actually worked. On tennis, for example. It's like, wow, that really worked, you know, to get the realism through to you so that you will get through the tough part of it. And then the third thing is, and this is the most important, when you do this and you see that, you see everything else differently. Okay? And that's what's so cool about it all. And you know, so I didn't mean to turn this into an Henry David Thoreau hour, but I just kept coming up with these quotes. If you can't change the world, change the way you see it. And it does change everything. So, like in tennis, in playing the match, I'm just playing against myself, right? I'm not playing against the score. I see the opponent completely differently. I'm not intimidated if they're like a really, really good player, because I'm just thinking, I'm playing a game against myself to see whether I can do that. Or I'm not, you know, so arrogant, it's like, I got this guy beat, you know, like that. So I see the opponent differently. It also affects pressure and anxiety, because you can be in a tennis match and you can be sitting there and you're like, I'm not having a good day. I lose this point, I'm going to lose this game. If I lose this game, I'm going to lose this match. And if I lose this match against this guy, when I go up there and everybody else, they're going to go, oh, wait, he beat you? You know, and so I might as well not even return the serve at that point, because I'm thinking about the stress and the anxiety, and it just builds. But if I'm just focused on this, then I can see there is no anxiety and there is no pressure. And that, like in the grateful servant, like if I act like a grateful servant, if I do this, I see people differently. I'm maybe a little less judgmental about them. I'm maybe a little less critical. Maybe I'm able to discern that maybe there's something going on in their lives. If I do this, like the grateful servant thing, I see, you know, situations differently. My wife, oh, honey, would you take out the trash? It no longer is like, really, I'm watching the game, an annoyance thing. It's more, you've got a mindset of being gratitude. Sure, I'd be glad to help, right? It's a completely different way to see things. Stress and anxiety, if you're thinking, for me, the grateful servant, it's not about me. So that gets rid of a lot of stress and anxiety. And then this calmness and clarity, it's like when you do this, you see that you're more calm and clear because you're looking at everything from a different perspective. There's a quote that says, some people bring happiness wherever they go. Some people bring happiness whenever they go. Right? So when you do things, you're just going to do this way, maybe you'll be that person that's bringing happiness wherever they go instead of whenever they go. So the three things are, you got to figure out for you what not going by the book is, right? Which I would kind of think of as playing a different game. The second thing is, and there's trial and error. Second thing is hard to do. But the third and most important thing is, when you actually do it, and are a little reflective about it, you'll see, oh, it really does make a difference. And I do see things differently. There's a comedian one time, I didn't even think it was that funny at the time, but the older I get, I keep bringing this up. He's like, hey, you know, life's like a roll of toilet paper. The closer you get to the end, the faster it goes. I'm like, oh my God, you're right. And that's kind of like, I'm starting to realize, and again, it's a simple analogy through tennis, but I'm starting to realize it's like, no, we've got to look at things differently. We've got to come from a different perspective. We've got to play a different game. We've got to not go by the book. Thanks.